Good morning, and our plans have had to change somewhat because for the next 4 weekends we have to be near a railway station so that I can get back to Brighton. But next week all of the rail companies are going on strike on various different days, so I'm going to struggle to get back this weekend, although I've got to get back. And next week I was going to come back for a few days before I went back again, and that's not going to happen because every single day there's a strike. So Henry is going to have to man the boat by himself for a week and do the locks and other things single-handed, and he'd be the first to admit that he's a natural born warrior, and we haven't really worked single-handed before. I have down a river once, but he hasn't done any locks by himself. So I'm hiding down in the boat and he's doing a lock by himself. But as chance would have it, there's somebody waiting to come into the lock, so as often happens, so he's had a hand to do it, and it all seems to have gone quite fine. I tend to do the driving because I painted the boat, and I know that if I drive and scratch it, I've only got myself to blame. But he got into the lock with only 1 or 2 little dings, so I can forgive that. Anyway, I should go out and see how he got on in a second. How did that go then?
Yeah, it's fine. Didn't get to do it all on my own, but thanks. But I did the critical bit of getting the boat in and then grabbing the rope.
There wasn't a ladder on that, was there?
Yeah,
Oh.
At the front, that's why I walked along the
Ah,
top of the boat.
well, at least on a single lock you can't fall in.
No.
So is that okay?
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, potentially you could just get off at the back and let it float in and then walk up the steps.
I think quite a few people pull their boats in, actually. You can do it either way. Less worried now?
Yeah.
Good. Well, that was all a couple of weeks ago, and since then Henry has done the Harecastle Tunnel, 20 odd locks, and managed perfectly well without me, so I may have done myself out of a job. Anyway, I'm back for this week at least, and I haven't filmed for a couple of weeks, and sometimes you just don't feel like it, and sometimes you wonder if you're making anything interesting anyway. I mean, it's interesting to us, but I don't know, sometimes you just don't feel like it. But I fancy videoing again now because we have come to a place called Bramble Cutting. It's quite well known among boaters because it's an offside mooring, which is quite unusual, and there's only room for 3, maybe 4 boats if you squeeze in, and it's just lovely. I'll show you. So that's the towpath side over there, and this is the cuttings, and it's maintained by the Broken Cross Boat Club in conjunction with Canal and River Trust, I think. Beautifully kept. There's picnic tables and little barbecue tables everywhere. We're up there on a little beach, and when we arrived yesterday we had neighbours either side of us, and they've just gone, so for the moment we've got the whole place to ourselves. It won't last long, there will be somebody else here. We'll have new neighbours tonight, I'm sure, but we're just revelling in having it all to ourselves at the moment. There was the most spectacular sunset last night, and you can't go anywhere here. It's surrounded by private land, there's no paths out of here, so when you're here, you're here, and it does make the people on the boats around you quite sociable because they come and chat to you because you're sort of, you know, your neighbours, you have to talk to each other. It's good, I like it. So you can have 2 days here And we've decided to do that so that we can get on with some of the numerous jobs that never stop when you're on a boat. Honestly, our boat was brand new, but whenever we stop for half a day or more, there's a list of jobs as long as your arm to be getting on with. And so I'll show you all the sorts of things that we have to do. So while we've got a whole free day at the beautiful Bramble cuttings, Henry's getting on with a really important job. So we've got an inverter, a Victron inverter set up, and we found that during the summer, when it was a really hot day, when I was cooking using the oven, quite often it would overheat and it would turn itself off. So it's a sort of feature that it has that if it gets too hot, it just turns itself off for a few minutes until it cooled down, and then it would turn itself back on again. But it's a bit inconvenient if you've got a cake in the oven. And Henry was always moaning that they didn't seem to have a fan in them to cool them down. So we bought a fan, a little USB fan, and we stuck it in the cupboard and blew cool air onto the inverter, but it didn't make a lot of difference. And after a couple of years, we just thought, well, it just seemed a really strange thing, and we thought maybe we need a second inverter because maybe there's too much power and it's overheating, because we'd have enough power in the batteries, but it just wasn't working as it should. So I posited a question on one of the 12-volt groups online, and everybody said, well, is the fan not working? And we didn't realise that it actually does have an internal fan, and it should have been working all the time. And not only that, we'd know because it'd be quite noisy. Well, we've never heard any noise from our inverter, so we rang Victron because it was still just in warranty, and they said, well, yes, it should be working, it does have a fan, but to test it they were going to have to take the inverter away, check it out, and we'd be left without an inverter, which you can't have if you're living on the boat. So we decided, well, I haven't decided, Henry's decided that he's going to fix it himself. So this is what he's doing. So how are you going about it?
Well, this is the original fan, which I took out, and I tested it, and it actually worked. So that was a bit of a nuisance because I thought I'd just be able to get another fan and the job done. So it's whatever controls the fan isn't working. That's a 24-volt fan as well, but it works quite well on 12 volts. But I'd already bought another fan, a 12-volt fan, a computer fan, this one, and that's got the added bonus of having a red LED around it when it's going. So when that comes on, then we'll be able to see. And my plan is to just wire this in with its own switch initially, just to make sure that that little plan works. And then moving on from there, I'm going to install some kind of thermostat controller which will automatically turn the fan on. So that's what I'll be up to in a minute, in fact, getting the inverter out.
At the moment I'm getting on with the windows, so every now and again, once a year really, you have to take the windows out. We have these Caldwell windows which come right out, and inside, in fact underneath this little bit here, there's 3 holes down in there, and the same on that side, and they have to be kept clear so that any water that goes in there can drain. And it does tend to get filled up with bits of stuff, you know, leaves that are broken down, etc. And we had a couple of leaks last year, and we realised that it's because the holes were blocked. So once a year I try to get all the windows out and give them a brush down and a vacuum out, and just check that everything is as it should be in there.
Found this thermostat. Well, I still had it from the calorifier. There's no way we're going to be turning that on with electric, so this is a spare device. And what I'm going to do with it, I'm going to fix it on top of the inverter so that the temperature, which goes from 10 to 70 degrees, somewhere along there, will actually click the switch inside of this, and then that'll turn the fan on automatically.
Oh, we're back at the window again.
Yeah, talk about fans. This is the original fan, which is 24 volts. It works on 12 volts, so that's good. I've tested that on 12 volts. And I've bought this 12 volt computer fan because I thought if it's 12 volts, then you know I don't need to worry about different voltages. However, I've compared the two in terms of airflow, and even with this one running at 12 volts, it's shifting a hell of a lot more air than this 12 volt computer fan. So I'm going to put this one back in, but of course it's actually going to be controlled by my new switch mechanism. Right, I've got the inverter out, I've got it in bits, and I'll be putting the fan back in a minute or two. I've got to take this grill thing off and get that out of the way. And then once that's back in, I don't really care about any of the temperature controls in there because it'll all be controlled on the thermostat that I'm fitting. A little look inside, make sure that everything's it's so well made and put together, these things.
Apart from the fan not working.
Yeah, I mean apart from the small matter of the fan not working. Okay.
Because Henry's got the electricity off today, I'm cooking outside, and we've got one of these mesh barbecues which, if you leave the bottom part of the legs off, it sits low enough to be able to put our Dutch oven over the top. And I really like cooking this way. You can bake and roast and broil, all sorts of things. So today we've got what's left of the cupboard for dinner all put in together, because this is offside mooring, has got no access to shops. So let's start this off with a bit of onion, followed up by carrot, and then a couple of sweet potatoes I found in the back of the cupboard. A bit more oil, you can never have too much olive oil. And then I'll pop the lid on and let it braise for 5 or 10 minutes. Bit of green, broccoli in this case. You've got to have your greens every day. Tomatoes. Rosemary, which grows on top of the boat. Garlic. No meal's complete without garlic. And then these Bart's spices, it's a blend. I've got lots of them and they're lovely. Bit of piri piri for depth of flavour, nice heat. Get it all covered. And then pannier. Always have a pack of pannier. I love it. Tomato puree. And then a little bit of liquid to finish it off. I'd normally put chopped tomatoes in there or splash of red wine, but failing that, I've pinched one of Henry's IPAs. And when the boat's not being worked on, it's the bike. What's the order of the day today?
Gonna try and make the brakes work. That'd be quite novel. Haven't worked for ages. They're the fluid ones, so it's like car brakes, disc brakes, and they're full, well, certainly the back one was full of air, and now I've just started on the front one, so we'll see what's going on there. But now I've got 50% of the brakes working.
Do you have to flick it to make sure there's no air in it?
I'm going to have to push that out, otherwise it's going to get pushed back up into the tube. Nearly there, nearly there. Right, so I need to just undo this a bit. And then back it on there. Like that. And then undo this a bit. And you can see air is already creeping through the tube there. So now what I'm going to do is push this lot through there.
Is that brake fluid?
Yeah, well, it's some sort of whatever it says on there.
It weighs a ton, doesn't it?
Whoa.
Yum yum. Tastes all right in the end.
Yeah, proper off-grid day. Well, that's it for this week then. Managed to get the fan going, got the switch in as well. So you know, at the moment it's all going very well, and there's loads of cool air coming out the top of the inverter. Anyway, have a good week, and see you on the next video. Bye.